What's up, guys? Today, is that how I want to start? Sit up straight. I look weird with my hair up on camera. Let's get into it. So, 90s, feeling it. Think of 90s model bombshell like Cindy Crawford and also Jennifer Aniston mixed with a little bit of that like 90s pop star. So think Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears. So I just want to take elements of the 90s and put it on my face. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to get started with the skin. I tried something new the other day and I think it looks incredible. So I mixed my foundation with a moisturizer. So I have the Lancome Teint Idole. I don't know how to say this. Lancome. Focus. Focus. I don't know if that's focusing on it, but I have the Lancome foundation in the shade 210 Buff, and I'm going to shake that up, put about a pump and a half on my hand, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of my moisturizer. I am using the Ultra Repair Cream by First Aid Beauty. I don't have a beauty palette, so I'm being a little resourceful. I'm just using the back of my hand. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix those together. I typically do not wear a lot of foundation, but on a whim, because this is the only foundation that I do have, I decided to mix in a little bit of my moisturizer. And I've worn this twice already, and it's lasted really well on my skin. It still gives me some nice coverage, and I don't look cakey, so I'm definitely I think I'm gonna explore this a little bit more and maybe pick and choose some foundations. I don't know, get a little wild. Toss in some moisturizer, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off in the center of the face. And I'm going to blend this out with a sponge. Now with the 90s, taking elements from there. Not very heavy on the bronze, maybe on the supermodel end of things, but no super heavy contour. It's light makeup. I think it just looks gorgeous. I really like the the heavy blush that I have seen on some 90s pop star divas like Gwen Stefani, Christina Aguilera, those gals. But I also liked that mix of that model, easy, effortless kind of 90s look. It all just looks like, you know, you just kind of chuck it on. And I like that. Still working with what I have on the back of my hand. Most of the coverage is going to be on the center of my face, but I'm still going to hit the perimeters as well, just to make sure that everything is even and cohesive, and I will take a little bit down my neck as well. Now, if I went full-blown 90s, you'd have the super white under eye, silvery bluish shadow, bright lip, or a dark neutral, I guess not necessarily neutral, but like a more brown toned lipstick. I don't know, man. The 90s makeup, what a wild time. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and go into concealer. Today I'm going to be mixing two concealers. I pretty much do this every day if I'm wearing makeup. I'm going to be mixing in the Too Faced Born This Way Multi Sculpting Concealer in the shade Marshmallow, and I also have the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime in the shade L5. I'm going to start off with a little bit of spot concealing and just do one layer of spot concealing. Going to go in with my little sponge. I got this in a set. It's an e.l.f. set. It came with 3 for 12 bucks. What? A beauty blender, which don't get me wrong, I love a beauty blender. That thing is $20 for one sponge. And it's gorgeous and it's beautiful. And if you can, you know, re-up on that sponge, I have before, but I don't know. Finding alternatives at the drugstore, especially 3 for $12, and it's soft, it works just as well. Oh yeah, I'm here for the deals. Just lightly going over my acne spots if I need to. Tap over with my finger, I will, just to make sure that it's not too heavy. Sometimes my acne spots, when they are healing, plus I'm using a spot treatment, they can get a little dry. So I just want to be careful and make sure I tap that out with my finger just in case, so that they don't look too dry. You gotta get into those crevasses, you know. Wonderful. Next thing I'm going to go into is cream blush. I'm going to go back in with that Tower 28 blush. The reason I'm using this is because I think that it is It's relatively neutral, and it's that like dark flushed look that I was seeing in a lot of the inspiration pics that I was looking at on Pinterest. So I'm going to go in with my Morphe. This is the M530 directly into that blush, tapping off a little bit on my hand just to warm it up, get a little bit of that excess off, and I'm going to go in. I want to go ahead and do this step first because it is a cream product, and I'm going to be using a powder bronzer. I am kind of bringing this more onto the apples of my cheeks as well, instead of keeping it high on my face for that lifted effect. A lot of again, the images I was looking at, the blush was very cheek heavy and not so much on the top of your cheekbones, kind of like how makeup trends are going nowadays, is, you know, really lifted and making the face look as thin as possible. Not necessarily for every, you know, makeup technique, but that lifted blush trend is definitely very much alive. But in the 90s, it was all about that straight cheek action with the blush. And I will go over this with my sponge just to make sure that it is blended out a little bit more. Clean up around my mouth if I've brought it too low, and blend it a little bit by my temples so that it's not too high. I'm filming. Yeah. Love you. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into a little bit of powder bronzer. This is the Fenty bronzer in the shade Inda Sun. I don't want to go too heavy with this because something that I did notice in the 90s inspiration pictures that I was looking at was it's not heavy on the definition. There is some warmth, especially when you're looking at the 90s model pictures. Just a little bit of warmth, but nothing too defined, which honestly is right on par with me. My cup of tea. I probably should stop chewing this gum. Whatever. Just being careful around the blush. This is going to somewhat set it down a little bit because it was a cream. We're going over it with a little bit of powder bronzer. I'll even bring just a little bit over that blush just to keep that warmth, flush look to the face. And I'll dab a little bit over my nose, nothing too much. And I'll bring some down the neck as well. Now, what the heck, I'm going to put some on my ears. I like to do this just because I feel like my ears look a little bit too light. If I do my whole face of makeup, bronzer, everything like that, I just feel like my ears stand out a little bit too much, whether my hair's up or my hair's down. So I like to bring a little bit of that color onto my ears too. I don't know, just with my bronzer being so close to my ears, how many times am I going to say ears? I feel like it's necessary. Next thing I'm going to go into is a little bit of highlighter. But before that, I'm going to spray my face. This is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. That feels nice and hot. I have to turn off my AC when I'm filming because I only have a window unit. We don't have central air, and it's upstairs, and that's where I'm filming, is in my bedroom. But it's incredibly loud, and I'm sure that would be the only thing people could focus on if I had it on. But it's summertime, and I'm upstairs. Heat rises, and it makes me incredibly hot. Guess I just have to deal with it. Whatever. Anyway, gonna go into a little bit of highlighter. I'm not gonna go too crazy with this just because highlighting really wasn't that much of a thing back then, but this is just 90s inspiration, and if I do my makeup, I really can't go without highlighter because I enjoy it. So this is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. It is in the shade Moonstone. It's well loved. I don't know if you can see that, but I hit pan, and I hit pan a long time ago, so I'm just kind of savoring this. I'm gonna go in with my highlighting brush. This is a Morphe M510. Tap off some excess, and I'm just going to do a little bit of highlighting, nothing too much, just a touch. Highlighter just gives a little bit of life back to the skin so your face doesn't look so flat, and it just makes you feel good. Like many humans, I like shiny things. If I can be that, we're golden. I'm gonna take some on the Cupid's bow, little on the chin, and then just a touch on the forehead. Just to put a little bit of glow into my skin. Don't want to look too matte. Gonna go back in with my setting spray. And then I'm going to go in with that medium-sized sponge and lightly tap that in. Oh, wow. I just realized that I didn't put concealer under my eyes. Well. I'm going to try to finesse that in really quickly. I'm going to go back in under my eyes and use the same concealers that I used to spot conceal. Just a touch of each. And I'm going to go back in with that small sponge. I thought something looked off. I got a little bit ahead of myself. That's okay. There's a little bit of that really white under eye 90s vibe. That's okay. I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of that blush. Just a touch on my cheeks. Just to kind of even this out. Getting ahead of myself. Gotta go back in and touch up with my bronzer just a tad. Gonna go in with a little bit of translucent powder just to kind of set down my under eyes. Nothing too heavy. I typically only like to set my under eyes with translucent powder, keep everything light and fresh. If I feel like I need it to be a little bit more long wearing, I will go in with a large fluffy brush and just kind of tap powder all over my face. Go in with a little bitty damp sponge. I love this little thing. It works so well with getting into your inner corner of your eye. What did I say earlier? The crevasses? It's good for getting in the crevasses. I'm gonna set my smile lines as well. And when I am dipping my sponge into the translucent powder, I will go in initially, and it's got a fair amount of powder on there, but what I'll do is I'll go into the lid or the back of my hand, and I will try to tap out some of that excess powder. And it still looks like a lot, but it's not as caked on the sponge, and I will go in. This helps with not over powdering, but if you need it, like extra powder on your places that you crease really intensely, helps with not over powdering, but still packing it on and it not looking heavy. Really lock it in. Alright, so this is the face. It's looking good. Next thing I'm going to jump into is brows. So 90s brows, very thin. There's no soap brows, there's no fluffiness, very thin. I'm gonna take that with a little bit of grain of salt. I think I can make it work. I can make it work and twerk, make my brows pretty thin. I'm just, dropping stuff. I'm just gonna go in with a spoolie and brush them up. Today, I'm just gonna follow the natural shape, not gonna make them any bigger than they already are. And I'm going to go in with this. I actually just got this, it's relatively new. It is the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen. Looks like this. It's very thin. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like a little bitty paintbrush. It's very, very thin. And when you do brush strokes, let me see if I can get it on the back of my hand. It's pretty cool. And I think it works really well with my brows. And it doesn't look like there's a buildup of product on there from putting too much pencil or too much powder or anything like that. So I'm just going to go in and I'm really just going to chuck these on. The one cool thing about this 90s inspiration is it speaks to the lazy girl in me when it comes to eyebrows. You don't have to do as much finessing. It's just they're on, you're done. And I'm mostly just putting this in from the middle of my brow to the tail end, and I'm not really going to fill in the front. I'll throw a little brow gel in just because habit, but that's where my pigment for the front end of my brow is going to come. Sisters, not twins. Okay, moving on from that. The eyes. Think brown tones, neutrals, things like that, light. I'm not going to go in with that many shadows on my eyes today, just enough to give me a little bit of definition. So today I'm going to go in, took this out of the archives. This is the Jaclyn Hill original palette from her collaboration with Morphe. It is dirty, it is well loved. Here's the inside. Ooh, I'm sticking my finger in it. Mostly going to be sticking to the brown tones, the lighter. Maybe I'll jump into a more dark chocolate. I'm not too sure. I don't feel like I need too much definition, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I do have the palette that does not have the shade names. Unfortunately, this was from the original launch. Oh my gosh, I'm dropping everything. This is from the original launch. My sister got it for me, and this was before it had the insert with all the names for the shades in the palette. So I'm going to go in with a big fluffy blending brush. This is a Morphe M504. And to start off with, I'm going to go in with this shade right here. If I drop one more thing, this is just going to kind of start off the look with a light wash, nothing too heavy. And now I'm going to go in with just a little bit of a deeper shade. I think I'm going to mix two of them. So I'm going to go in with, let's see how I want to do this. I want to go with these two shades right here. And I'm just going to kind of put those on the outer portion of my eye right here, and then just a touch into my crease, and I'm not going to bring this one as far into the inner portion of my eye. So starting off right here, blending that into my crease right over that first transition shade that we just laid down. If anything with this look on the eyes, we just don't want them to look flat. Just a little bit of shape, a little bit of definition, nothing too over the top. Something simple. I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the other eye. Start off in the outer corner, bringing that into my crease, not blending too high up towards my brow. And then once I'm satisfied, I will go over all of this with a clean, fluffy brush just to blend out the edges. I'm gonna build up that other eye just a little bit more. I need to stop chewing this gum. Why did I decide to chew gum? Now I am going to go into... I don't want anything shiny on the lid. I want to keep this relatively matte. So I'm going to go in with this shade right here. This palette doesn't have a cream shade, like a bone skin tone shade. I was going to say bone tone. Like a bone. Just taking that shade, putting it on the front portion of my lid. And I'm not being too precise with anything, which is pretty bomb, honestly. You can kind of just chuck this on and the messy look, it looks intended. So it's a very forgiving look, I feel like. And now I'm going to go on to the lower lash line with the two darker shades that I used on the outer portion of my crease. And I'm just going to run a little bit of that for some slight definition on the lower lash line. Go back in with that big fluffy blending brush and go over everything one more time. Even running that on my lower lash line, just to make it a little more softly diffused. And now I am going to do a little bit of inner corner highlight and highlighting my brow bone, but nothing too intense. That's why I did choose this highlighter today, so that I could kind of keep it, you know, all one color on the face. Get a little bit of that and just put a little bit of that onto the inner portion of my eye. I'm not going to wet this. That would make it a little bit more metallic, a little bit brighter. I want this to just kind of make the eyes look a little bit more open without being overly highlighted. And I will sweep that a little bit up onto the inner portion of my eyelid crease area right here. Nice. Bringing that on the brow bone as well. Love that. Now, here's the part that I don't know if I can handle. Eyeliner is not my friend. I have tried it many a time, and I just can't seem to get it right. But I feel that this might need a little bit on that upper lash line. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more of just a chocolate shade, just a deeper brown, just to darken up my lash line on the outer portion a little bit, because I feel that going in with a powder is a lot more manageable than going in with any kind of liner. I need a good brush for this too. Just gonna go in my Patrick Ta brush. This is the double-ended. One side has a spoolie, the other side's for your brows, but it's angled, so I'm gonna use that for my lash line. And I am going to go into, this shade right here. Keeping this tight to the lower lash line. Lower lash line. Just my lash line, not my lower lash line. Since I'm not going to be wearing lashes today, I feel like this will help when I'm building up my mascara, just to have a little bit of darkness. And I'm gonna tap a little with my finger, and I'm gonna do that to the other side as well. Now I'm going to go in just with a smaller pencil brush. This is a Morphe E18. Let me make sure there's nothing on there. Yep. And I'm just gonna slightly tap over that and ever so gently blend it, just so that it doesn't look like too harsh of a line. You're not going to see it much really because I'm going to have mascara on, but it will make a difference. Okay, and before I go in with my mascara, I'm going to tightline my upper lash line, the waterline. Alright, I have the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner. This is the shade Mr. Bing. That's fitting. Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and curl my lashes. If you're somebody that has a hard time curling their lashes, I totally recommend this lash curler. It's by the brand Shisiedo. It's a little bit more expensive compared to like a cheaper lash curler, like something from Revlon or whatever you would buy on Amazon. But the shape is really nice. Look, I could compare them. Like if you see, this is a Revlon lash curler. And like it's super duper curved. And then this is the Shiseido. It's a little bit flatter. It's not as curved out. And I feel like that this one, it just curls your lashes so much better. So if you are ever looking for something to help with the curl and the hold of your lashes, I definitely recommend the Shiseido one. It's lovely. And I got it when Sephora was having a sale. So if you ever wanted to wait for the Sephora, like the VIB sale, and you're a VIB member or VIB Rouge, definitely recommend getting that. Totally worth it. And now I need my little mirror because I've come to find I cannot do my mascara without it. I'm going in with the Urban Decay Lashfreak mascara, and I am just going to build up my lashes. We're not going to wear any falsies today, keeping this pretty natch. When I first got this mascara, I got just a little mini tube because it's something I like to do with mascaras, is if I want to test them out, I don't want to, you know, pay full price because it's a full tube of mascara and I'm not sure if it's going to work out for me. I'll get the little tubes. This one gets better with time, for sure. It's an interesting brush. It's very paddle-like, and then it has this little ball at the end. Can really get into some tiny lashes on the inner portion of your eye, on that lower lash line. And I think it's a lovely mascara. It's really nice fresh out of the tube. I just think it's incredibly, like, it's a very wet mascara, and I typically like my mascaras to be a little bit more on the dry side because I don't know, I feel like I can manipulate them a little bit better and it's not too much product on my lashes. And this is definitely one that it ages like a fine wine. It just gets better. Normally I would wait in between coats of mascara, but I feel like since this one has dried out a little bit, I don't have to wait, and, you know, and I can kind of immediately go in. And I'm just building my lashes up, kind of manipulating the shape of them. I'm pulling them out a little bit more on the outer portions just to give that like more butterflied eyelash, more winged out. Flare them. It's my flare. It's looking nice. All right, lovely. And the next thing we're going to move on to is lips. So I'm going to go into the lip liner. This is by the brand Bodyography in the shade Timber. She's well loved. And I'm going to slightly overline my Cupid's bow area. I'm going to make my top lip a little bit more rounded. And then I'm just going to keep my bottom lip pretty much the same size. If I'm going to do any overlining, it's typically my Cupid's bow and then just the center of my lower lip. But today I'm going to go for a little bit more of a rounded shape on my top lip and leave my bottom lip pretty close to its original shape. This is just going to give me a little bit of definition and set me up for a liquid lip. And when I'm doing my Cupid's bow, I'm going to make my lips like this. I'm going to pull them back. And instead of rounding out each peak on my Cupid's bow, I'm going to do this, make more of a straight line. Just to kind of give my lip that more rounded shape instead of a fully defined Cupid's bow. And I am bringing that liner onto the lip just a little bit so that it can blend in nicely with the lipstick I'm going to put on. And now I'm going to go in with the IBY Beauty lipstick in the shade Nude. This is their Feather Matte Liquid Lipstick. Oh, I love a dark nude. Nice. I'm going to keep it at that. I did pull out a gloss to put over top just in case if my lips got dry, but I kind of like the way that this lipstick feels. I haven't used this a lot. It's something I got in a BoxyCharm like months and months and months ago, and it kind of just got lost in the sauce, and I happened to see it the other day when I was kind of going over this look a little bit, and honestly, I really like the formula. It can be just a tad bit sticky, but like after like you wear it, I think it wears off really nicely. It's not uncomfortable. I don't get like a really dry, crusty on the inside of my lips, or I don't feel the overwhelming need to constantly lick the corners of my lips like a lot of liquid lipsticks do because they're super drying. So yeah, I think it's great. I'm really interested in the brand. I haven't used a lot from it. This is the only product I have, so I'll definitely have to look into it. But I pulled out the Mellow lip gloss in the shade Saint Tropez, just because I feel like it is keeping with the theme of that like 90s brown lip. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna dab a little in the middle. I can't help myself when it comes to gloss. I'm a gloss girl. Just a little though. That color is pretty spot on, eh? And then I'll tap it out. I don't want it to look too shiny, but I like a little moisture in my lips, so. Okay, let's look at this. Assess the face. Oh yeah. Something that's also a huge 90s thing is beauty marks. Those are one of my favorite things to do because you can take a zit that's really annoying you and you can turn it into something that's really cute. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back in with that brow flick and I'm going to enhance the mole that I have, and I'm going to pick a couple of lucky face demons to repurpose. Beauty marks are on. I'm going to go in with a little bit of setting spray just to top everything off. And now going in with a little bit of brow gel. Because remember, didn't lay any product down on the front end of my brows. Kept those free. And now I'm going to take my hair down and just kind of zhuzh this a little bit. Kind of feeling that 90s big messy hair. You know, think of Phoebe. Phoebe in the early episodes of Friends. She had that really long, luscious, curly hair. That's the vibe I like. Alright guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just something, you know, it just makes you feel hot. So I highly recommend, you know, dibble dabble into that 90s trend. You know, it's super simple. You literally just like chuck everything on. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the look. I hope you're having a good day or night, wherever you guys are, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye, guys. I need to wash my hair. I've only washed my hair one time this week. The amount of dry shampoo that is in my hair is incredible. Can you tell that it's even greasy though? I don't think so. See my grays though. Silver fox pending. One day. Okay, bye!